first thing I want to do is I just want to say a huge thank you to you for being a part of the project California Double, our film for Panasonic that featured the brand new GH5 Mark II. It was awesome to have you on board, and I personally just want to say thanks for how dedicated you were to making sure we had a successful project. You were there on set with us every day, making sure we understood the equipment. I mean, aside from the fact that this film couldn't have been made the way we made it without this kind of equipment, and you've totally filled the need that we had for this project. The equipment was fantastic, but you personally, I just want to say thanks.
Well, thank you so much. That's so rewarding to hear. You know, we really developed the concept of the product out of our own personal need. It grew out of a hobby into a professional business, and so that's all music to my ears. We love to learn. You know, I personally really learn a lot every time I interact with professionals like you. Yeah. And frankly, over the years, we've developed some of the patents and some of the intellectual property that we have as a direct result of needs that are identified on projects like yours. Yeah. And so it was really a pleasure.
Ah, well, that's great. And I'll describe kind of what my need was originally. I had this, you know, I've been an ambassador for Panasonic for about 4 years. This is the first time I've actually made a film for a new product launch. But I've seen the films that Panasonic has made in the past for these launches. I was honored to be picked to make this film for them. And I knew I was up against a lot of obstacles. Namely, you're gonna make a film, go ahead, produce a film that's got action, that can really kind of show off the features of the camera that are like internal stabilizer. And so I wanted to put it in some elements that were gonna be crazy, like the surf, like the snow. And oh, we don't know what the body looks like. It'll be over, they'll send it to me, they sent it to me right from Japan overnight, and it basically, you know, I had to produce the whole project for about a week and a half, come up with a budget, figure out what I was going to do, the storyline, without ever seeing the body until it arrived the day before we shot.
Yeah, the universal nature of this was one of the original problems that we set out to solve, quite frankly. If you take a dive housing surfing, it's not really ideal. If you take it in a pool, kind of the same thing, and vice versa. So they tend to be very specific, but beyond that, they tend to be very specific to a particular camera and sometimes even a specific lens. And so if you have multiple cameras on your arsenal, or as the cameras continue to improve at a rapid pace, if you want to be able to use housing with the same camera, that's one of the problems that we set out to solve. Yeah. And so that's one of the nice things about our system. You know, I often say that it's a bit like a doctor operating with gloves. Yeah. And so we have a couple of different size covers. Yeah. That can fit virtually any camera and any lens. We have people using film cameras, DSLRs, mirrorless, and even some medium format cameras. And we've done a couple of projects where people have put a Ninja Atomos recorder inside.
And the monitor inside there.
So they had not only the camera, but also the recorder inside of the camera. Obviously, we have different lenses that would fit inside. And so that's one of the advantages, is that it gives you the flexibility that you may need.
It totally drew me to this product immediately. I saw all the pictures on social media and on your website, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what the body's gonna look like. I know this is gonna work. I reached out to you, and you were so helpful as far as what kind of product do you need? What are your expectations for shots? And you told me about this awesome dome, about getting shots in the water, out of the water at the same time. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. And thank goodness, because again, the body showed up, and the buttons were in certain places that I had to learn the camera and then be underwater while I was learning the camera at the same time. So
that's another benefit, is the modularity of the system. So as you see here, we have a couple of different bodies with different lenses. Yep. And all of our ports use optical glass, and so performance-wise, not only are you shooting through optical glass so that you're going to get second-to-none results.
It was huge for me because the image from this brand new Panasonic camera, the whole sell of this film is what does the image look like,
Right.
and that was a big part of it for me.
So we took pride in making sure that performance-wise, our ports are going to deliver. And whether it's the flat ports, which thread on to any lens, and we support all the different industry standard sizes, to our dome ports. And we also make the dome ports, like the rest of our system, in a couple of different sizes. In a nutshell, bigger is better. So for like a commercial shoot where you're not transporting, you're not moving a lot, the larger one is going to give you great results. But the small one that we used in our shoot was perfect for transportability, for mobility, for getting it into tight spots. And it also allowed us to use things like polarizers and filters inside, which you wanted to do.
And that was like a big part of it to me was I use this awesome lens that Panasonic makes. It's a 10-25 1.7 lens, but a 1.7 f-stop lens has got to have a neutral density filter on it in order to get enough dynamic range and keep the motion that we needed from the surfers, from the snowboarders. So the fact that you and I like MacGyvered this onto this 77 millimeter lens, which isn't totally crazy, but you know, you made it fit, and it was fantastic results.
And this was a good example of something where, you know, you had a need. Normally for a lens like that, we would just use the flat port, which then renders the filter thread inoperable or unusable for something like a polarizer. But we just thought, you know what, the domes would allow, with the use of a clamp, which is what we use, for example, this is a 12-24 lens, which has a curved front glass and an unremovable hood. So normally a lens like this wouldn't work with a flat port, and that's where the domes again shine, because not only do they allow the field of view that you would need with a very wide angle lens like this, which is ideal for things like split level photography, but it gives you the flexibility of being able to use other accessories.
Yeah, and with the dome, we actually didn't do a lot of, I didn't do any split level shots when we did film. I did shoot some stills, but the dome worked fantastic as far as being able to go underwater and above water. We shot different levels at the different times, but just being able to use my neutral density, I think I had an 8-stop neutral density filter, which was super dark in order to get really the look that we wanted, and that worked like a charm. So
yeah. You had asked me about a couple of the other accessories that I had mentioned, and even though we didn't necessarily have to use them in the water, they often come in handy for things like time lapse, or even in inclement weather, like whether it's rain or snow.
yeah, what are some of those?
And so I brought them because I wanted to show them to you. So this is a cover with a T1 opening, and T1 just stands for the fact that it has an extra opening.
Okay.
And it's interchangeable whether you're using a tripod adapter, which this is.
Oh, that's right.
So what this is in essence is an adapter that would plug in that opening and extend the tripod mount to the outside. And so in essence, the idea is that just like with the regular covers, you would have a waterproof solution now that is tripod mountable.
Yeah.
And you can mount this is stainless steel, so you can mount it vertically, horizontally, you can mount it on a rotor or anything like that. And whether it's a drone or any other kind of moving accessory, this just extends the tripod mount that you could use. And part of the beauty of this is that it's interchangeable for another solution that we developed as a result of a need, which is our cable adapter. So what this does is it's a waterproof tethering solution. And then with the cable adapter, which is another patent we have, it's a slightly more complex setup, but it's still fairly simple in the concept. So in essence, we have a plug, the cable.
That's a tethering cable, right?
This is a tethering cable, but you could use it for any kind of cable. So it could be a data port, It could be a USB, HDMI, it could be power. So you could power the camera
so you could power it.
in case of a time lapse, for example. So if you're doing a glacier documentary and you want to leave the camera for a long period of time, you can leave it for days or weeks. Wow. So you can also do both. You could physically run 2 cables through the 2 openings, or you could get thinner cables and you can get 2 of them through the same adapter. But in a nutshell, the way it works is that the cable goes through our plug. And so think of this as like a hot dog and a hot dog bun. They go through the adapter. So this would be inside of the camera, and then the adapter starts to squeeze the plug around the cable, and it eventually compresses the cable enough.
Seal.
And then there's the same old sealing mechanism, the washer and the nut. And so the cover goes around this part, and then this then creates the seal to the cover. And now you've got a waterproof tethering solution, which when we did the Ninja Atomos, it was for a Nikon camera launch for the Z6, similar to this, and they needed to tether it.
Well, and I can see how, you'd put the camera underwater, but you want the monitor above the water to see what it's getting, and you can actually control record, and you can, oh, that's super cool.
Exactly. Okay. So you can do combinations of those things, and so it's a fairly simple system and a fairly simple idea, but we believe that simple is good. And as you saw, it delivers. It works when you need to.
I was able to get great optical shots, and I was able to see, I love both sides, so I can see what's happening in my viewfinder at the same time as I'm getting a great shot, so it's not one side or the other. I was able to feel the buttons pretty easily as far as what I needed. I can make sure I'm getting a clear shot so I can know that my auto tracking is working properly. And yeah, I mean, every shot you see in the water in the film had this housing on there, and I think I ended up shooting most of the shots. We actually hired it was so overwhelming to me to be underwater and trying to learn a new camera and a new device that I did a hire for one day, like a pro underwater videographer, and ultimately by just being with you and seeing you shoot with it, and kind of like by the 3rd day, all the shots I used in the film were me shooting Murphy and Allison in the surf on that 3rd day, using it myself.
And I think part of that is the controllability that we enable, because so many housings require you to learn all new muscle memory because the buttons don't necessarily correspond with how you operate the camera.
Right.
Where with this system, in essence, after a while, you kind of forgot that the cover is there and you're just thinking of operating the camera. The buttons are where they're supposed to be. The viewfinder is accessible, the LCD is accessible. You can still control, by the way, the buttons that are behind the screen. And so we've designed it in a universal way so that it fits multiple cameras, it allows that control. And like you saw, it doesn't require such a learning curve that you've got to go to school for 3 days.
Right. And now I would definitely recommend go shoot with it one day first, expecting nothing, just expecting to learn. But it did seem overwhelming, like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna be able to, and then probably by the 2nd day that I used it, I was like using it as if it was not even there, like you said. Well, that's awesome. I do want to talk about the film just a little bit, and like what we did, and just how you integrated into that. Are you cool with that?
Of course.
So we made this film, California Double, where we were putting this brand new camera, the GH5 Mark II, to the test as far as I wanted to shoot in the surf. We were surfing and we're snowboarding in the same day, right? And immediately I just realized how invaluable this product was going to be to our success, because we were going to be taking it. I mean, the things you don't think about as, like when you're writing the story, more as a producer director, which I got to be all of those things on this project. was that I'm walking through the sand. Like, there's so much sand everywhere. There was obviously spray. There was like salt water that was getting on things. This brand new camera, which I only had one, it was the only product, and there were no others. So I had to be able to protect it, and this definitely did that for me. But then, yeah, obviously we're in the surf, and then even up in the snow, up in Big Bear, which was, you know, something, you know, like snow sprays when we're snowboarding, and it lands on the camera and it melts and turns into water, and that's dangerous. So that was another thing that I just was like, wow, so glad I had this. So,
and I have to say that, you know, I was impressed early with your work. So when you approached me, obviously I had heard of you, and I did a little homework on the work that you had done. And one of the things that I was really enamored with, and part of the reason that I was so committed to the project, is that we love, you know, envelope pushers. I mean, that we consider ourselves envelope pushers. We're always trying to innovate, and we love to push the envelope and see what's possible and do the impossible. And we felt like you were that kind of person, and that's what you were doing. But number two, we love the fact that you were really telling a story, and that you were going beyond the, you know, like bits and bytes and features, and you were more about showcasing how the camera, in this case, enable you to do things better, faster, cheaper, and that you wove that into the fabric of the story. And I think that that's so invaluable. And it shows. And the end result, it was really awesome.
I appreciate that. And Panasonic did approach me just to basically, hey, go get a model and just go do a few like pretty clips that we can show samples from this new camera. And probably one of the reasons they came to me was that they knew I would be somebody who's like, how about we tell a great story, right? Exactly. I mean, and I have been actually pushing them on making films with current models of cameras that they have where they tell more stories. So I really wanted to tell a real story start to finish, and at the same time, one of the other like things Panasonic needed from me was they have this new Cinelike profile. It's Cinelike D2 profile on the camera, and they wanted the whole film shot in that profile, no color grading. It's like, get it right in camera and put it online. Because one of the features of this new camera is that they have a lot of YouTubers who basically want to make something that looks more cinematic, but just gets their product out because they've got video to do every day. And a lot of people don't have the budget to, you know, shoot in Vlog or S-Log or whatever in some sort of log profile and then do all kinds of color grading to it. That takes a lot of budget and a lot of time. We had to follow where the waves were. So County Line, Leo Carrillo, and we had to make that work, right? And make the light match different times of day, all in camera. So I couldn't be like encumbered by inferior quality housing because it had to look great. And at the end of the day, all Panasonic cared about was, how does the image look? Now, I made them care about the story. So thank you for helping me push the envelope on that and make people understand that, you know what, it's a better product if it's a story that we tell, and this really helped us tell the story. So.
No, thank you. I'm delighted. Thank you for doing the work that you do. You know, I think it's important. And in today's world, like you said, workflows are constantly evolving. Timing is always of the essence. And obviously I'm biased, and I recognize that no product is all things to all people or nirvana. But, you know, we feel very proud and happy with the people that we're able to work with. We work from, you know, professionals all the way to enthusiasts. The phone is a bigger and bigger component of every storyteller's arsenal. Not to say that it's replacing anything.
No, but it's a tool in your tool belt,
It's
right?
a tool in your tool belt.
Yes.
I could not have put it better. And so we've had a request for this for some time, but we're coming out with the Outex phone, which is basically the same idea. It's a flexible cover that allows you to control the functionality of the phone but it's designed specifically for content creation. So for the camera and the filming,
Yes.
it's meant to accommodate both iPhone, Samsung, Motorola, so you can use different phones. You're not tied to a specific phone. And we will also have a dome solution for it in a pistol grip, which I don't have prototypes ready yet.
Okay.
But I thought I'd show it to you and get your immediate feedback.
Will this be like I can touch and it will work? No way. JR.
So you'll be able to control the operations of the phone. It'll obviously hinder it a bit. So you're like detailed, you know, like you're not meant to keep this on the phone at all times.
We're not going to slide and stuff like that, but we could probably press buttons.
You can still slide.
You can slide?
Yeah, but things that require a like very specific use, you're not going to be able to do. So it's really meant that you can use it for your photography and cinematography needs. And if you get a phone call, or if you need to put it on mute, or if you do something wrong and you need to minimize it, or if you want to send it right away via Wi-Fi, you can launch your app, you can do it. So it maintains your functionality without being designed as something that you would keep on the phone all the time, right? So in other words, make no mistake, this is not to replace that case that you bought at the store that you keep on the phone at all times. It's something that is small enough that, again, like all things Outex, you know, it's easy to put on and off. You have it in your backpack, and you've got a lens and your cover, so if you're going on a boat, if you're going in the rain, if you're going in the sand, if you're going in the mud, if you're going in the dirt, and you don't want to damage, you don't want to lose your phone, you put it on and you know that performance-wise you're going to have that, but your phone is protected.
Right, and this is, I would imagine, just like the Outex housing, like how deep can you go underwater with this?
It's not meant to be scuba diving, so like the rest of the gear, it kind of doesn't care how deep you go. But the deeper you go, the water pressure will actually start pressing the buttons and the screen on the phone. And so it's rated for 10 meters, or about 33, 35 feet. So it's plenty. It's kind of where the light is. It's where people can go and hold their breath. If you're strapping oxygen to your back, this is probably not the solution for you.
You're probably not shooting on your phone.
Exactly,
that, right?
exactly. But it's great for snorkeling, swimming, surfing, vacation, and that's what it's
I want to film my buddies surfing. I want to get them on my phone. This is fantastic. No, it's super cool.
I'm glad you like it.
I can't wait to see the pistol grip too. That sounds awesome. But I mean, so many people just want to get stuff for their Instagram or get stuff for their own little social media, and it's just fun, right? And what great way to capture water sports by using this guy. That's so cool.
Yeah, more to come on that. We're already taking pre-orders on the website at outex.com. But, you know, we'll have more news through social media, through our blog, and so just visit the website.
Am I allowed to ask how much this is going to cost?
So we're looking at $150 for the kit, which includes the optical glass port and the cover. And then the dome will be an accessory that's sold separately.
So there'll be like a mini dome right here?
Correct. Whew. But for the pre-order, we're selling them for $100.
Whoa! Okay. All right. Pre-order. Time to get ours right now.
Awesome.
So cool.
Glad you liked it.
Yeah, really good job. I love it.
Thank you.